Okay, hey, this is G for T. We're here with Ren. He's with the American Patriot Society, also one of the founders of the First Urban Transition Point. It's a training center to help people deal with an economic collapse. Ren, what's going on? You did a currency kind of evaluation. You're finding that copper is way undervalued.
You know what it is? We actually watched a couple of the videos out recently about copper and some of the other metals. Obviously, we know silver and gold have been doing its part, but we did a unique relationship between copper and silver, and silver's trading right around $36 an ounce, and looking at copper sitting at $4.24 an ounce. It's actually at a very odd point, and copper is way undervalued. Normally, if you look at other ratios between copper and silver, is usually the ratio is about 60 to 1 in trading, and right now it's looking at 135 to 1, where copper is way undervalued versus the relationship in history of silver. And so here's the odd thing about currency. If you look at currency right now, most coinage is devalued in its metal weight, except for one coin, and that's the nickel. The nickel itself, I actually went down and bought $100 for 50 rolls of nickels. And if you look at the coinage weight inside of copper and nickel in there, it's actually worth 135% of what its actual face value is. So I bought $100 worth, and it's already worth 135 the moment I walked out with it.
But nickel is a mixture of copper and another metal, right?
It is. It's 75% copper, 25% nickel, which makes up the form of nickel, and nickel is at almost $12 a pound.
Yeah, but the problem with this, the problem with what I've heard, and I've heard two stories with nickels, is that if you were to eventually melt them down in a crap-it's-a-fan scenario, it's very hard to separate the metals. It would be not even worth it. So you'd have to deal with the combination of both metals, and they were saying that there's uses of it in aquamarine type things, you know, but you can't. It's not like you could separate it because it would just.
That's true. You cannot separate it. It's a federal law that you can't melt coinage. But here's the thing: you already have pre-1964 coinage, silver coinage, which is 90%, is already selling on eBay at face value. So if you buy a $1,000 bag of face value coin, it's selling for $28,000 right now. So if you bought nickels and they doubled in metal weight, they're still going to sell at their current metal weight more than they are at face value.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ren. I've heard this from like big-time scrap gold dealers. They're saying if you can't afford silver and gold, man, start collecting the pennies, start collecting the nickels. Hell, you know, do whatever you can if it has some physical substance to it, and you're going to be better off than nothing. It's kind of like the poor man's way to prepare for hyperinflation. And I bought copper bars off of eBay, and that was a very inexpensive way to do it. But of course, the cheapest way is to actually get the you know, the devalued metal currency, because you're having a huge arbitrage on what the government's willing to sell it to you at, and then what the metal is worth or potentially worth.
Well, if you want to invest in a minor coin against inflation, and obviously if hyperinflation takes off, the coinage of its own weight is going to multiply, and it's at its infancy stage right now. It'll always be worth its face value, and right now, if you look at it, a nickel is actually worth 6.7 cents of its same value in metal weight. So it's already 35% above. If you went down and every nickel you hold, it's actually worth 6.7. If you look at all other coinage, like a quarter dime, it's actually worth only 24% of its actual weight. So a quarter is really worth 7 cents. Yeah,
you got to go with nickels, or you got to go with the copper pennies, right?
The pennies that are 82 are pre.
Yeah. So anyways, a little.
You can actually walk.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go.
You can actually walk in and buy at face value right now the only coin left that has any real value of its current face value weight. It's the only thing left. And actually with copper going to climb, if it's in relationship with the silver and gold, copper right now should be sitting around $9 a pound, and it's actually at $4.24. It's actually undervalued by half. So we're going to watch and see a major copper climb
I agree with you 110%, Ren. The only thing I would throw in there is that when you have copper get out of control, usually the government will get involved, because once copper shoots up, then society starts to denigrate, because you don't have air conditioning tubing and copper tubing made out of silver. That's why silver can go and gold can go to the stratosphere. But once copper gets out of control, then the government is forced to actually do something, because society will just denigrate, because people will start stealing the copper out of new housing developments, old housing developments. They'll be stealing it off air conditioning units in commercial buildings. They'll start ripping it out from electrical wiring on the freeway lighting. So, I understand what you're saying logically, but there's also an aspect that if they let copper go to a certain level, you'll have total Armageddon. I mean, we already saw part of that. I think it was in 2008 where copper got out of control, and then people were ripping it out, stealing. Society won't be able to function if copper gets that high. But maybe that's what'll happen. I mean, who am I to say that won't happen?
It is what it is. You're right. It's hard to say what somebody will do, what society will do. But obviously, from a bare minimal standpoint, copper's been around since the beginning of time. It was the first and oldest metal out there.
Yeah. Buy nickels, buy copper pennies. It's the poor man's way to prepare for hyperinflation. And there's stories of people being able to live through hyperinflation by just having a bathtub of metal coinage. So definitely get out there. You've motivated me. Tomorrow I'm going to go to the bank and pick up a couple boxes of nickels and start stockpiling that stuff. It's a good, it's something to do. It's one more thing to do to prepare for hyperinflation. So thanks, Ren, with the American Patriot Society, coming on the show. Peace out, brother.
Thanks, bud.